Jet 24, your weather authority. This is your forecast first.
Erie International right now. We did have some fog earlier, some mist, and some heavier elements of rain, especially to the south. You can see that there on Storm Tracker. This is where the threat is going to be tonight for some heavy rain, maybe some thundery downpours. So 47 right now at the airport under a cloudy sky. No wind, but the wind will start to pick up, and that's going to boost our numbers up to near 60 with some rain and rumbles coming in as we head into the late night and into the start of your Sunday. More on the forecast coming up. Jet 24 Action News starts right now.
From your news leader.
As positive COVID-19 cases rise across the state, Erie County executives updating the local community on the pandemic.
We spoke to SafeNet officials about the rise in domestic violence.
And President Trump signing an executive order that would allow certain former military members to be recalled into service.
Live in high definition from your news leader. This is Jet 24 Action News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brian Wilk. The county executive addressing the county's preparedness if there were to be a surge of positive COVID-19 cases, saying they have taken proactive measures to stay ahead of any possible surge in Erie County. Samir Nefsi has the story.
Positive cases of COVID-19 continue to soar across Pennsylvania, bringing the Commonwealth's total to 2,700 positive cases, with 533 new positive cases and 34 deaths. County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper saying a logistics team is looking at how to treat any possible surge, from personal protective equipment to contingency plans and quarantining.
Hospitals themselves are really the ones who ultimately have to make the decisions as to where additional capacity would go if they need that.
Adding the Department of Health is working directly with hospitals to properly plan. As for now, the executive believes if we were to have a small surge of positive cases, the county would be able to manage them. However, if the surge were to be large, then it would be difficult. Adding, we would need the proper amount of beds, equipment, and staff to take care of patients.
That's why it's important that people keep themselves distanced from others, so that if somebody is working in those life-saving situations, that they themselves can hopefully stay well.
As we move through this pandemic, some counties in the Commonwealth are seeing their numbers double by day. With the number of positives, there are still many not being tested.
We just don't have enough tests. And this has been a problem in the United States since this COVID-19 pandemic became known to the world.
Further explaining there is simply not enough testing kits, from reagents to swabbing for mass testing.
I don't see it being resolved anytime soon. I think it's something that has to change for the long run, and we need to invest more in public health.
Samir Nefsi, Jet 24 Action News.
In Crawford County, a fourth case of COVID-19 has been confirmed this afternoon by the Meadville Medical Center. According to the Meadville Tribune, a 53-year-old man was tested positive after reporting symptoms of COVID-19. The man had done out-of-country travel and is now in isolation at home following the test results. And we want to remind you that Jet 24 Action News carries a live daily digital exclusive coronavirus newscast on our website, yourerie.com. You can catch a new update at 11:30 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m. only on yourerie.com and on the Your Erie To Go app. And as the number of coronavirus cases in the U.S. climbs above 100,000, a new rapid test could bring some hope. That and 2 medical ships are deploying to bring much-needed bed space to hospitals in some of the hardest hit areas. Meredith Wood has the story.
This great ship behind me is a 70,000-ton message of hope and solidarity to the incredible people of New York.
President Donald Trump made the trip to Norfolk, Virginia Saturday for the departure ceremony of the USNS Comfort. It is one of the 2 naval hospital ships relocating to help ease the strain in some of the hard-hit areas from the coronavirus. The USNS Mercy arrived in the port of Los Angeles Friday, and the president says the Comfort should arrive in New York by Monday. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says patients who don't have COVID-19 will be sent there, freeing up space in city hospitals for people who do. Saturday, Trump said he is considering a mandatory quarantine for New York and surrounding areas.
There's a possibility that sometime today we'll do a quarantine, short-term, 2 weeks on New York. Probably New Jersey, certain parts, and Connecticut.
Moments after the remark, Cuomo said he had not spoken to the president about that. Some good news for those fighting the spread of the pandemic. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration fast-tracked approval for a new coronavirus test that can give results not in days, but in about 15 minutes.
It's a great step forward. We're very thankful for it. We'll get it going April 1st.
Meredith Wood, Jet 24 Action News.
And there has been an increase of domestic violence calls in the last 24 hours, according to Erie Police. With people spending more time in their homes, there's potential for more domestic violence cases. Chelsea Swift has the story.
According to the Erie Police, there have been 13 domestic violence calls in the last 24 hours. Director of Domestic Violence Services at the SafeNet Center saying there has been about a 25% increase in phone calls to the center.
We really believe that this is the calm before the storm. As this goes on longer and as more tensions build around finances and being stuck in the house together, we expect that it's going to get much worse.
Young adding there are a few ways to seek help at this time.
You can contact us through our hotline. We are still accepting walk-ins at this building during the 8:30 to 5 hours. You can also access us through the hospital.
Despite the current stay-at-home order, if you are experiencing domestic violence, the SafeNet Center is still a safe place you can go to get out of an abusive situation at home.
Well, my greatest fear is at this time is that people will think, the law says we need to stay home. And while we fully support that, if you are being abused and you are afraid, leave. Get out. Do whatever you have to do to get out.
Young further explaining the courthouse still does see emergencies, providing temporary protection from abuse orders.
Erie County has seen too many people die because of domestic violence. We don't want to see one more, not one more. And during normal times, we see people die. And stressors like this, they don't cause domestic violence, but they have the potential to make it so much more lethal.
Chelsea Swift, Jet 24 Action News.
President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that will allow former active duty military members to be recalled into service. The move is in response to the coronavirus outbreak. The order gives officials the authority to order up members, but officials say as of now there is no indication that will happen. On Friday, President Trump said the step could be necessary to mobilize medical, disaster, and emergency response personnel, including thousands of experienced service members and retirees. And even before calls for quarantining due to the coronavirus, older adults were affected by social isolation. And now, millions of elderly have been left with very limited outlets for interaction. Social distancing does not have to mean social isolation because staying connected has both physical and mental benefits. AARP Foundation President Lisa Marsh Ryerson says it's time to reach out, urging people to use technology to stay connected.
But we have to remember that social distance is just about physical space. Practice social distancing, but continue to practice the benefits, the power of human connection, of social connection, and do that harnessing the power of technology.
The AARP Foundation works to end senior poverty by helping older adults build economic opportunity and social connectedness through both outreach and lobbying efforts. And coming up on Jet 24 Action News, a tornado touches down in Arkansas this afternoon, leaving damage in its wake. That's after Craig's forecast. Hey, Craig.
And some severe weather skirting by to the south of us earlier today. There's still a chance as we head into tonight. Locally, it's a little lower. We'll talk more about forecasts coming up.
From your news leader, you're watching Brian Wilk, meteorologist Craig Flint, and Mike Fenner with sports. This is Jet 24 Action News, your news leader.
I'm Dr. McGovern for the Physicians of Erie County Medical Society. Coronavirus or COVID-19 is now a pandemic. Simple measures, however, can protect you and others. These include hand washing, hand sanitizing, cleaning common surfaces, avoiding overcrowding, and most importantly, social distancing. Seniors and the chronically ill should be especially vigilant. Learn about coronavirus and visit us at ErieCountyMedicalSociety.org.
Right now, how do you make sense of it all?
If you're like me, searching the internet all day and going through social media, it can be terrifying, and that's why we're here.
Now, afternoons on ABC, one place here for you with the good information you need.
How do you help your family, your kids, your friends deal with all of this?
Answering all your questions.
We are all in this together, and we're going to get through this together.
Pandemic, what you need to know. Afternoons at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC.
This was the sound of Karen's narrowed aortic valve. She feared she would need open heart surgery. Then she went to AHN for a minimally invasive valve replacement procedure. Now this is the sound of Karen's healthy heart, doing the things she loves with those she loves. Because every beautiful beat is living proof.
From Jet 24, here's meteorologist Craig Flint, your weather authority.
Hi there, good Saturday evening to you. It is cloudy and some fog moving in as well. Now, what we're watching here tonight is the potential for some thundery downpours. The severe threat, at least locally, has diminished, but down to the south still could be some thundery downpours, and we just want to quickly remind you about the Weather Academy starting Monday. YourErie.com, 10:30. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Myself, Tom DeVecchio, will be talking a little bit about weather, and if you're looking for a little bit of science for the kiddos who are home from school, join us. So head to YourErie.com, and 10:30 in the morning, and we'll be talking a little bit about meteorology. All right, so wake up weather tomorrow. Look at the numbers skyrocketing to near 60. Rain and rumbles around, and the wind picks up. No wind right now. Here are the weather watchers checking in. Upper 40s, Penn State Barron over to northeast 50, Greenfield Township. Lower 50s in French Creek and Corey. Low 50s, Union City. Mid 50s, McCain and Edinboro. Down to the south, look at these numbers though. Into the 50s and low 60s, Espyville, Jamestown, Meadville, upper 50s, as well as Conneaut Lake. 57 right now in Crossingville, and hanging on to the upper 40s, Chandlers Valley to near 50 in Youngsville, low 50s in Clarendon. All right, so you can kind of see how everything's behaving. It's been down to the south. That's where the worst of the weather has been, and that's where we have some embedded elements of heavier rain. And as we head through the night, if there's going to be a strong, severe thunderstorm, it's down to the south of us. I think our threat is more of a heavy rain threat. There is a flash flood watch in effect. You could really see this storm system. Look at that little curlicue right there. Area low pressure over Iowa and southern Minnesota. You got that plume of moisture out ahead of it, and some feisty storms down to the south. And again, that's where I think the severe threat will be as we head through this night. But still, some thundery downpours and some scattered storms Sunday. Some of those storms Sunday could pack a little punch, so we'll keep you posted on that. And the wind gusts. Not only will you have winds around individual storms, but generally speaking, gusts will be pretty frequent to 45 miles an hour, I think, and that's going to put us well into the 60s. Futurecast not doing a great job. There will be rain filling in, some thundery downpours as we head through the night. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms passing, some breaks of sun, windy, warm temperatures well into the 60s before the cold front comes through. And then we start to turn cooler again heading into next week. So in terms of the severe weather tonight, This yellow area, well down to the south, that's I-80 right there. So south, that's the highest risk. Here, the severe threat has diminished somewhat, but we still have that risk for some thundery downpours. Temperatures rising tonight. Jet pinpoint for the lake shore. Sun and passing showers and storms through Sunday, 65 to 70. Areas south of the 90. Sun and scattered storms, windy and warm, 65 to 70 here as well. And for the Chautauqua-Allegheny region, numbers well into the 60s. A warm wind with passing showers and thunderstorms. 7-day forecast looks like this. So upper 60s will be replaced by the mid 40s on Monday. And it looks cool as we head into much of next week, at least the first half of the week. Sorry about those extra icons there. I'll clean that up for you. Back into the 50s, though, as we head into Thursday and Friday. YourEar.com. Click on weather for the latest updated forecast. Check out the weather alerts there as well. Howdy, Brian.
Thank you, Craig. Here are some of the headlines in tomorrow's Meadville Tribune. Crawford County reports fourth COVID-19 case. Allegheny College teachers, students adjust to online classes. Conneaut Sellers making hand sanitizer for nursing facilities. Check out the Jet 24 weather forecast on page 2. And coming up on Jet 24 Action News, the search engine company Google making a giant donation to help in the coronavirus response.
Afternoons on ABC. One place with the good information you need. Pandemic. What you need to know. At 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house. Being part-time really helped because I could have some opportunities that were still in education.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Schools may be closed, but your weather authority's Weather Academy is still accepting new students.
Tom Craig and I will show you how hot and cool weather science can be live 3 mornings a week.
We'll be live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:30 in the morning on YourErie.com.
Your Weather Authority's Weather Academy, sponsored by Northern Pennsylvania Regional College. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. on YourErie.com.
What I want you to know is we know we're all in this together.
I know it's tough, but we're tougher, and we're going to get through it.
And we're here to help each other as we go through this outbreak.
We're all going to learn lessons from everything that's going on.
And it's just going to make us better. This virus can do a lot of things.
But it will not kill our spirit.
So again, stay at home and wash your hands.
And just be kind to one another and help where you can.
Want your news first? We've got you covered.
Download the Your Erie To Go app now.
Get news alerts sent straight to your phone.
Stay safe and informed with severe weather warnings and regular weather updates, whenever and wherever you need them.
Download Your Erie To Go now from the App Store for free.
Get your Jet 24 news and weather where you need it and when you want it. Your Erie To Go. Available for both Android and iOS. Download it for free and stay connected.
Traffic camera video shows this tornado cutting through Jonesboro, Arkansas Saturday. Governor Hutchinson said on Twitter, damage was left in the twister's wake, but no one appears injured at this time. The National Weather Service said Saturday was a dangerous day for storms in the Midwest. And UPS won't require signatures from customers during the coronavirus pandemic. The delivery company released update guidelines Saturday. It says drivers will just make contact with the recipient and request ID if applicable. UPS says the move is temporary to reduce the spread of COVID-19. And Google says it is donating more than $800 million as part of its coronavirus response. Most of the donations are in the form of free advertising. The tech company says it is giving the World Health Organization and global government agencies $250 million in ad grants to share information on how to battle the spread of the virus. It is also offering ad credits to small and medium-sized businesses. And coming up next on Action News at 11, one local university's engineering department using special technology to help the community during the pandemic. We'll show you their creation.
The hottest tech trends featured by local experts. It's Tech Talk, Wednesdays during Jet 24 Action News. Good Morning Erie at 6 a.m. and streamed online 24/7 at YourErie.com. Brought to you by the tech authorities at Enormous Mobile Specialties.
You ready? I'm ready. I'm 10 steps ahead of you. I'm not buying what you're saying to me, but I'm going to let you dig your hole. No. You don't hustle me. Now we're getting somewhere. You're making up a story now. I can tell. I'm like a truth machine. We're done.
Weekdays from 3 to 5 on Jet 24.
Want your news first? We've got you covered.
Download the Your Erie to Go app now.
Get news alerts sent straight to your phone.
Stay safe and informed with severe weather warnings and regular weather updates, whenever and wherever you need them.
Download Your Erie to Go now from the App Store for free.
Get your Jet 24 news and weather where you need it and when you want it. Your Erie to Go. Available for both Android and iOS. Download it for free and stay connected. Want your news first? We've got you covered.
Download the Your Erie to Go app now.
Get news alerts sent straight to your phone.
Stay safe and informed with severe weather warnings and regular weather updates, whenever and wherever you need them.
Download Your Erie to Go now from the App Store for free.
Get your Jet 24 news and weather where you need it and when you want it. Your Erie to Go. Available for both Android and iOS. Download it for free and stay connected.
The country, it's America's favorite jackpot game. Get ready, everybody. This is Powerball. Good evening, America. I'm Sam Marlin. Tonight we have a guaranteed jackpot for you. It's worth $160 million. I hope you have your Powerball tickets. Good luck. Let's see how you did tonight. First number down is 40 to lead us off. And right after that, America, we have the number 7. Here's Brian Tackett from Michigan. Brian won $1 million playing Powerball. Next number down is 55. That's followed by 66. And we're going to wind it up for you tonight with the number 48. All right, now for your winning Powerball number, it is 11 tonight, and that Power Play multiplier is 2. Take one more close look at tonight's winning numbers from all of us here at the Florida Powerball Studios. Have a great night. We'll see you back here this Wednesday night. Bye, everybody.
And in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Gannon University officials are stepping up to help out. Faculty and staff within the engineering department joining together with a movement to create 3D print face shields. Now, these shields will be donated to local healthcare facilities in response to the pandemic. The effort has gathered generous support by many community partners.
And it is great to see the power of the Gannon family rallying around each other and rallying around our community to make a difference. So I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all that you are doing and all of you that are contributing to this project.
And these resources are provided to the facilities for those first responders and workers that serve our community. And Red Letter Hospitality is helping out their employees today. The proceeds from their online gift cards go directly to their Employee Relief Fund. The Skunk and Goat Tavern and the Cork 1794 are open for food and drink carryout. Those sales will also benefit employees.
we're trying to do our part here in the community, and especially our staff are the most important part of our business, and they're the ones who really make us come alive, and so we're just trying to do our part to help them during this time.
And as of this afternoon, Red Letter has made $9,000 in online gift card sales that will go directly to their employers. And Hollywood couple Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson are back in the USA. In a tweet Saturday, Hanks said he and his wife are home after having to isolate in Australia. They got stuck there after testing positive for the coronavirus. Hanks was there for pre-production work on an upcoming film about Elvis Presley. That project is on hold due to COVID-19. Now that they're home, Hanks says they plan to continue social distancing to stay home. And another blow in the world of James Bond. 5 guns used in the Bond franchise were stolen from a house in London. The deactivated weapons are believed to be worth more than $122,000. The stolen guns include the last weapon brandished by the late actor Roger Moore. Others include a Beretta Cheetah and Tomcat pistols, which appeared in the movie Die Another Day, and a Smith & Wesson .44 Magnum revolver from Live and Let Die. Detectives say many of the items are irreplaceable, noting that the Magnum revolver was the only one in the world ever made in which the whole gun is finished in chrome. And now let's go to our own 007. Mike Fenner joins us now with sports. The baseball season has been put on pause, but when it returns, we could potentially see a local product return home to face the Seawolves.
It's the best intro I've ever gotten from you, Brian. I appreciate the praise. Yeah, we're going to have a little one-on-one conversation talking with Isaac Mattson, the Harbor Creek grad, as he continues his way up the ranks. Let's take a look back at how he got into the pros, of course, spending some time at Pitt, and all that good stuff. Come up next.
In times of uncertainty, communities come together. For years, we've had the privilege of helping our communities see more clearly. Your health and safety is our highest priority. We'll be temporarily suspending retail store operations. Visit imartexpress.com for updates.
Tamron Hall has America Talking.
The Tamron Hall Show has so many different topics that you can connect to.
Did you feel that you were being punished for being pregnant?
I was, and so many women before me were.
My husband wants kids, and I really want to just focus on my career right now.
When I got divorced, I realized that I actually needed men to find myself again.
You're inspired, you're laughing, you're even crying. It's a terrific show.
We'll see you there.
Weekdays at 10 on Jet 24.
At Jet 24, Fox 66, and YourErie.com, we're loving living local.
Now at the Auto Express Resale Center, we're loving giving local.
Wednesdays during Jet 24 Good Morning Erie and Fox 66 Good Day Erie, I'll draw a nonprofit from my resale center charity chamber.
Then watch Jet 24 Action News at 5 and 11.
And Fox 66 News first at 10.
Because that's when I'll give a local nonprofit $250.
Now, Jet 24's Mike Fenner with sports.
Welcome on in. It's time for sports. Of course, the baseball season is currently on pause, but that's hardly stopping one of the area's best pitchers from pursuing his dream of playing in the major leagues as he recalls the beginning of his pro career in part one of our two-part feature.
Harbor Creek grad Isaac Mattson has come a long way from his days delivering wins on the diamond for head coach Tim McQueeney and Mattson's hometown Huskies.
Back in high school, back in elementary school, you know, you're playing in front of your parents and your friends' parents and your teammates' parents, and you know, you might be thrown in front of 10 people, but to be able to do it on such a big scale and then to be able to do it well it's the coolest experience.
Playing 3 years for Erie native Joe Giordano and the Pitt Panthers, Mattson's development in several areas gave him the belief that a pro career was in the cards.
Going into my junior year, I had a really good year playing summer ball and got noticed by a couple different teams. And going into that fall at college really started to kick in that, you know, this could be a possibility. As far as my mindset went, it didn't really change from where I'd been the years prior. It was just kind of elevated. It was like, if you want to do this, you got to be all in. So from that point on, it was getting extra work in, doing stuff in the weight room that would set me up for a successful season and doing my best to stay healthy.
Selected in the 19th round of the 2017 Major League Baseball draft, a dream was realized with a new adventure set to begin with the LA Angels.
I really felt like God was calling me to this. He had given me the talents to do it, and so to be able to do it with my parents in the room, and then, you know, later that night going out and getting to have dinner with my family, it was really cool experience to be able to get drafted.
Bouncing around the minors between 6 different clubs within the Los Angeles Angels system, Mattson has gained valuable experiences inside and outside the game that would help prepare him for his next move in pro ball.
Some of the cooler experiences that I've had was getting to pitch in Salt Lake City. It was the third to last game that we had, and I was able to close that out and get a save in front of 10,000 people. Interesting places that I've seen, believe it or not, El Paso, Texas was really cool. They have a pretty new stadium there, and the coolest thing about it was after the first batting practice, we ended up going back down into the tunnel, and on my way there I got stopped by an older man. He knew I was new to the team, and this was my first road trip and first time in El Paso, so he stopped me and he said he didn't want an autograph, but he handed me a piece of paper with a bunch of different restaurants and cool things that we could do. So I really thought that was cool for somebody who is on the opposing team of a hometown, for that guy to reach out to me and be like, hey, you know, here's some cool things you can do and some great restaurants. I really appreciated that, but the stadium was cool, the fans were great, and it was just a really cool experience overall.
The Erie Commodores will not be taking to the pitch for the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The National Premier Soccer League announced its plans to cancel the upcoming soccer season. The Commodores were set to open their season on May 8th in the U.S. Open Cup against the Dayton Dutch Lions at Gannon University's McConnell Family Stadium. Erie was set to host 6 matches at Gannon and 1 at Edinburgh's Sox Harrison Stadium, but they'll have to wait for the 2021 campaign. On this date 1 year ago, Cathedral Prep basketball head coach Mark Majewski retired as the 3rd all-time wins leader with the Ramblers program. The ex-Ramblers and Villa Maria boys basketball head coach Majewski coached 11 seasons at Prep with a record of 177 wins, 105 losses, including 5 region championships, 6 District 10 titles, and state Final 4 runs in both 2012 and 2015. When we come back, Craig has one last look at the forecast. Stay with us.
Insurance isn't something you want to think about. Your home, vehicles, and investments are as important to me as they are to you. Thank you for voting us Erie's #1 choice in the insurance category.
Face it, your 10 p.m. routine could use a little excitement.
Wake 'em up.
ABC's got you covered with groundbreaking, award-winning dramas.
Cool. This is exactly where you want to be.
So grab the remote and kick back. Why end the night when 10 p.m. is when awesome begins?
I'm Dr. Jeff McGovern for the Erie County Medical Society. Electronic cigarettes, although introduced as a means to transition from cigarettes to smoking free, carry their own risks. E-cigarettes have been associated with serious and often deadly lung injury, which has occurred in previously healthy young adults. Learn about e-cigarettes. Visit us at ErieCountyMedicalSociety.org.
Oh, that is unbelievable. Hey, here's something else I want to know.
Well, what is it like working with George Clooney?
I don't work with George Clooney. I work with Debbie.
All right, well, what is it like working with Debbie?
I don't like her.
Drama with Debbie. We'll find out more about that after this.
Spend every night with Jimmy Kimmel. Weeknights on ABC.
She's a close talker.
For all of the news you want, go to YourErie.com and the Your Erie To Go app with digital exclusives you won't see anywhere else. Page 2 will take you deeper into the stories that you care about. What's New explores the businesses popping up in your own backyard. This week, Jill McCormick sits down with local leaders and organizers for the whole story. Online, on the move, on your time. See the whole story with YourErie.com and the Your Erie To Go app's digital exclusives.
Imagine a world where children don't know the magic of books, where there are no stories to take them on epic adventures. Go to magicofstorytelling.com. You can help Disney provide new books to kids in need and help inspire imaginations.
And we have time for one last look at the weather. Craig?
Alrighty, Brian, so what we're watching tonight is the potential for some thundery downpours. We think the severe threat is shifting to the south, but even here locally, we can't rule it out, so we're going to be watching it through the night. Tomorrow's another chance for scattered storms. Some of those could be a little feisty too, windy, gusts over 45. We get into the upper 60s, then the cold front comes through with a brief shower Monday, much cooler. Temperatures are in the 40s through the first half of the week, and then we get into the 50s again as we head towards Thursday and Friday with another chance of rain heading towards Friday and the weekend. Alrighty, Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Craig. That's all the time we have for tonight. Good night.